Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Well, it is another election cycle. This is the primary election coming up on May 3rd. However, you can be voting now. We're going to meet one of the candidates running for DuBois County Commissioner in District 1. That is Gary Eck. Gary, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here this morning.
Well, it's a pleasure having you. And I think, first of all, let's talk about you're running for DuBois County Commissioner in District 1. However, everybody votes for this election, for this race.
That's correct. Everyone in the county has the opportunity to vote for this particular office. I'm restricted to have residency in, if we go by towns, which people are more familiar with, the Huntingburg, Ireland, Portersville, Hayesville, north side of DuBois area. That is the region where I'm required to live and have some responsibility in watching out for the well-being of those particular residents.
But everybody on the Democrat ticket will be voting here in the primary for either you or your opponent.
That's correct.
Okay. Gary, let's find out a little bit about Gary Eck. Who is Gary Eck?
I was born here in DuBois County and basically have lived my whole life here. In fact, I've lived all my life except for 2 years when I was in an apartment in Jasper on the family farm, which my grandfather purchased back in 1902. So my roots go way back in the county. I came up through the Greater Jasper School Corporation back in the consolidation days, went 7 years to Boone Township School, 3-room school. 8th grade was at Ireland, and then went on and graduated from Jasper High School. And we might as well continue on the education part. I was fortunate enough to have a full academic ride to Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, where I majored in electrical engineering and had a minor in economics. After graduating from Rose, I made one of the wisest choices I've made in my life, and that was to come back to DuBois County and enjoy this quality of life we have here. Continuing on with education, I've kind of augmented some of that on the business side with classes at VU Jasper Center in marketing and sales, the things that I was kind of void of from my economics background at Rose to make me a better businessman. When we get into what I've done with my work environment, obviously as a child I worked on the family farm. When I got out of Rose-Hulman, I accepted employment at Kimball Electronics, designing electronic organs. Later on, as Kimball got out of the electronic organ business, I chose to do some work as a consultant in the area, doing primarily work for Alcoa in, let's just call it, improvements of their maintenance group. In 1993, Dan Mundy and I started a firm called Eck Mundy Associates, focusing on computers and later telephone systems for small businesses and some of the small municipalities. And I continue in that position as my job right now. If we kind of backpedal a little bit in the agricultural side, when Dad died in 2004, I continued cow-calf operation out on our farm, raising the cattle, hay, taking care of the pasture, up into the year 2010 when it just became a little bit too much work for me. I got out of that. Within the community, I'm a member of St. John's Lutheran Church in Boone Township. I've served a couple stints as their the president of their council, done Sunday school teacher, choir director. I played the piano in the praise band. I'm the church organist now. Spent 10 years being a 4-H leader for the kids out in that community. Done some professional type leadership. Evansville, Owensboro has a chapter of the Electrical Engineering Association, which I've chaired in the past. Those are some of the highlights of my good life here in DuBois County.
Well, you obviously have a lot on your plate and have been very busy. Why would you then run for office? What possessed you to say, I'm going to run for county commissioner?
Well, it's kind of at the point in my life where I want to give back to the county and take some of the skills, the relationships, the people I've learned throughout this county and outside the county to work with them to make it a better place to live. And there's many ways to do that, and people don't have to do that as in government. You can do it through your Kiwanis or your Rotary or being a coach. But I think it kind of goes back to the fact, Bill, that my grandfather was a county council member, and I think it's in my blood. The first 7 years of my life, he was in there, and he'd have some interesting visitors, and they would discuss politics, and maybe somewhere deep in my mind that got planted. But I've always been interested in the political side of things, as student body president at Rose-Hulman, and been involved with those things. So that's kind of the way I want to give back, is through that particular avenue.
And with your skill set, that can be very good for that.
Yeah, obviously there has to be, there's, as the world changes, we are getting more and more into technology, and some of the decisions that we're seeing. I know I've been trying to go to the majority of the commissioner meetings and some of the council meetings since basically I announced, and a lot of the issues fall into things that I'm familiar with on a day-to-day basis. Obviously I can't fix everything that gets broke, but at least I can help make decisions appropriately on who we get in to take care of certain situations. And the business side, understanding budgets, understanding what it takes to meet a payroll and have employees that are depending on your company for their livelihood, I think is something that is worthy. And I've never been in office before, and so I think I bring some fresh ideas to that.
A different way of looking at it.
Exactly.
Speaking of things that maybe looking at differently or maybe looking at the same, depends. What are some things that you think the county commissioner is going to have to deal with in the next 4 years, let's say, and how would you address those should you get elected to the commission?
Well, the thing that we are, I think, are somewhat concerned of the most right now is the shortcoming in our finances for the operations of county. And you know, if you look at county government, you have the commissioners, which take care of a lot of the things that have to be done as far as roads, courthouse, the jail, 911 center, things like that. And the council, which is basically the purse strings, they control the funding of that. And together we need to work together to resolve this $1.6 million deficit that we're experiencing this year. Obviously, we're going to have to always continue to tighten the belts and be more and more frugal on ways that we can purchase materials, utilize things. And on the flip side, I think the council is going to have to think about some things that can help us out maybe on a little bit on the income side. And I think that's going to be a statewide solution to that. We're not alone in this. There are a lot of counties that are not in as good as financial shape as we are. So what those solutions are, I think the state is going to be part of the solution, our local people, and being more frugal, even more so than before, will be part of the solution. You know, there's a lot of demands always about roads. We'll have to see how, in particularly the bypass, we still hear that talked about a lot. You know, but right now we have to take care of that money situation first, and everything banks on that. Another key thing is we have to make sure that our county employees are satisfied, that they feel like they are being listened to, that they can communicate with the elected officials and their supervisors. I tell you, in any organization, your workers make it all. I can tell you that from day to day. And so we have to make sure that those folks have the respect, and we take care of their needs the best we can with the means that were provided through the taxes we have now.
Now, I'm going to give you just a few minutes, and this is always scary to let somebody who's running for office say whatever they'd like, but you know, this is your opportunity to speak to the audience and tell them why you feel they should vote for Gary Eck for county commissioner.
Well, I do believe that I do bring a new voice to that position. I've been working real hard to get out and see the communities and go door to door in Birdseye and Snellville and Ferdinand and Holland and Ireland and Jasper and tomorrow DuBois, and I'm sure there'll be other cities that I go to, and but I've needed to do that. I have some name recognition to make up because I am running against a person who's been in office for 16 years, and there's a lot of name recognition through print and through the radio that come that way. But as I said, I have new ideas. I mentioned earlier, I've dealt with making the payroll, making tough choices in benefits. It's never fun to have to let someone go because things aren't working out, but sometimes it's the best thing to do. On one side, I have an agricultural background. I understand what a driving force that is in Du Bois County. On the other side, I do run a business that's a town business. And the good thing about my town business, it has connected me with so many small businesses throughout the county that I have a real good touch with those people and their employees and what's important to them. The skills I bring, I think, will augment the current commissioners on the board, Elmer Bramas and Randy Fleck. And I think we can be a great team moving forward. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, Gary, it is a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
And we do want to remind people, you can vote now. Election day is May 3rd, and some people may be thinking, I don't need to vote. It's not really that important. It's a primary. It's important. As we found out in the last election, that one vote can make a difference. Really, it's very important that you vote. Gary Eck has been our guest. Gary is a Democrat running in the primary. He is running for Du Bois County Commissioner in District Number 1. Thank you for watching WJTS Inform. We are local people watching local people.